4 actors had secret underground tunnels directly from their homes to the Playboy Mansion.
Whoa.
Jack Nicholson, James Caan, Warren Beatty, and Kirk Douglas.
Sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
Tunnels leading to a private grotto.
Is it the Playboy Mansion? 'Cause I know the Playboy Mansion for sure.
No,
Had tunnel.
Just a few weeks ago in a Manhattan federal courtroom, Anthony Rico, one of Sean Diddy Combs' lead defense attorneys, quietly slid a motion across the judge's bench and walked out without saying another word. The motion was short but powerful. It read, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs," and that was it. No explanation, no memo, nothing. Inside the filing, Rico stated that attorney-client privilege prevented him from sharing any further details. He also insisted that his sudden withdrawal wouldn't delay the upcoming May 5th trial. But let's be real. Losing your lead attorney just 2 weeks before opening statements? That's a major blow to any defense strategy, and now this leads us to a question that might seem random at first, but stick with it and it'll all start to make sense. Did a leak about secret underground tunnels just derail Diddy's entire defense?
The FBI discovered a tunnel this morning that the rapper had made in his home, connected to the basement of a former Michael Jackson home.
There is an underground mansion.
The officers found strange items on the floor, such as children's clothing.
Actually terrifying to know that this exists.
It's uncovered tunnels underneath his house.
Diddy's?
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
A lawyer for Sean Diddy Combs has quit, leaving the rapper's legal team ahead of his sex trafficking trial. In New York federal court, Anthony Rico filed a motion to withdraw as one of Diddy's 6 defense lawyers yesterday. He didn't give an explanation, but wrote, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel." He did not elaborate as to why. A judge still has to sign off on the request. Sean Diddy Combs faces charges including sex trafficking. He has pleaded not guilty.
One of the lawyers representing Sean Diddy Combs in his sex trafficking case is quitting. Anthony Rico filed notice in Manhattan federal court Thursday, writing, quote, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel." Rico, one of 6 attorneys for the music mogul, did not offer any other details. Combs has pleaded not guilty to the charges, saying he did nothing wrong. His trial is set to begin in May.
And here's the swimming pool. So obviously right now you can't make out how big this place actually is, but stick around to the end of this video and we're gonna watch sunrise and check out the exterior. All right, let's see the inside of this place. Okay, I'm walking inside. From the backyard, I stumble upon a dark set of stairs leading down under the house, right into the basement. It smells like mildew here in the basement. It's not a good sign. The air is getting cooler as I walk through the open door, swallowed by the darkness. The faint hum of a machine immediately catches my ear. Perhaps the HVAC system left on to fend off the mold creeping through the lower levels.
Outside the courtroom, Rico's sudden exit caused an absolute firestorm. Media outlets jumped on the story and social media was flooded with wild theories. Some legal experts speculated that Rico walked because he learned something that crossed a serious line, something confidential, maybe even dangerous, that he felt he couldn't stand behind. Others believed it was a strategic move, an attempt to force a delay by stirring chaos, then re-enter with a new angle. But no matter the theory, one rumor kept bubbling up. Tunnels whispers began spreading about secret underground passageways, linking Diddy's Los Angeles mansion to other elite estates. A detail no one saw coming, and one that could change everything.
Anytime an attorney backs out, that's not a good look. Now, there could be a variety of reasons as to why this happened, and we all get that. I understand that. But anytime an attorney backs out, particularly of a high-profile case like this, is not a good look, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because if you are an attorney, the more acclaim your client has, the more popularity your client has, the more recognition and notoriety your client has, the more you benefit from a positive outcome in favor of that client. So that client, if Sean Diddy Combs gets off sex trafficking and racketeering charges and the jury finds him not guilty months from now, and he's able to walk out the courtroom a free man, you know how good that makes those attorneys look? Everybody will be clamoring for the cameras. An attorney walking away, sometimes it's because they don't get the lead chair or one of the lead chairs. Sometimes it's because a client is lying. Sometimes it's because they believe wholeheartedly that the client is going to be guilty and they don't want to be associated with that guilt because that's a loss on their record. It could be a variety of things, but the fact that we are speculating about that when the trial date hasn't even started yet concerns me, because I'm one of those people, ladies and gentlemen, who firmly believes it's virtually impossible to find a jury that's not contaminated by some kind of information that's been put out to the public before a trial begins.
Potentially, it could be a conflict with the client, right? A disagreement. They just don't get along. The communication is poor. They don't agree on defense strategy. It could be a conflict with one of the other lawyers. Obviously, it seems like Agnifilo is the lead on this case, although Rico was certainly his 1B. And I know obviously there's other lawyers on the case. Obviously, a lot of the victims are female. They're going to want female lawyers on the defense team, especially during some of the aggressive cross-examination. That tends to be the conventional wisdom when you're dealing with victims who are alleged victims of sexual assault or abuse. And then it could be a conflict with one of the victims themselves. Maybe maybe Rico consulted with them or even represented them in such a way that he has to get off the case. So it could be any number of potential conflicts.
Anthony Rico has been part of Diddy's defense team since September, so he appeared in court with Diddy when he was first arraigned and pled not guilty to the charges. And Anthony has been kind of this almost kind of public kind of support figure for Diddy as his lawyer. In court, he stands up and points out that Diddy's, children have traveled long distances to be there. He sits next to Diddy, during the hearing, they're talking, they're laughing. So they seem to have kind of a more personal relationship maybe than with, Diddy's other lead defense attorneys who are kind of the ones up in front of the judge. And this past week, he just suddenly files a motion saying that he's withdrawing from the case. And there's not too much detail given, but clearly there was a fork in the road about, something having to do with this case. And he says, like you heard, that under no circumstances can he effectively serve as his defense counsel.
It seems that embattled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is selling his LA mansion. The Holmby Hills estate was the site of a federal raid that Fox 11 first broke back in March. According to TMZ, Combs is looking to sell the off-market for $70 million. The raid was part of a sex trafficking investigation. A grand jury now hearing evidence in that probe. Meanwhile, Diddy is still facing several lawsuits linked to multiple sex abuse allegations. Diddy has denied those allegations.
Tunnel talk exploded on social media. Earlier on X, users started sharing aerial shots, claiming that Diddy's compound lines up almost perfectly with Hugh Hefner's old Playboy mansion. The distance? Close enough, they argued, that a secret tunnel connection wasn't just possible. It made sense. Some posts even dragged Michael Jackson's Holmby Hills estate into the mix, hinting at an entire underground network of hidden corridors beneath Bel Air. Now sure, these sound like conspiracy theories. Just whispers. But in a federal case involving allegations of sex trafficking and racketeering, even a rumor about secret tunnels is enough to send shockwaves.
Guys, they found underground tunnels at Diddy's homes. This was first brought up by Shadow of Ezra, where he talked about the underground tunnels in Diddy's luxurious Los Angeles mansion. It was an underwater swimming tunnel leading to a mysterious grotto, reminiscent of an ancient and modern human use of caves. Now, this is all alleged, of course, but they say that this tunnel connects to the Playboy mansion. You guys remember that? Hugh Hefner, the guy who lived with all those women in his mansion? There's no available evidence right now. However, reports are noting that Combs' mansions do have a pool with an underwater swimming tunnel. They say it's not connected to the Playboy Mansion, but there is a reason why the Playboy Mansion keeps coming up. 10 years ago, they were building underground tunnels to the Playboy Mansion for people like Jack Nicholson for his birthday. So this way, they don't have to go through the outside, but go underground in secret to the Playboy Mansion to do God knows what. You can see the sketches here of these underground tunnels being built. They were working on it, and it was supposed to connect celebrities like Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, Michael Jackson, just to name a few. As reported by People magazine, these underground tunnels to the Playboy Mansion were sealed off in the 1980s. The question is, do you believe that? Stay safe and be smart.
An editor for Playboy was digging around the office for old pictures and made an interesting discovery. In the 70s and 80s, 4 actors had secret underground tunnels directly from their homes to the Playboy Mansion.
Whoa.
Jack Nicholson, James Caan, Warren Beatty, and Kirk Douglas. The Playboy editor came across photos from 1977 that showed a large excavation project at the mansion. After doing some research, he found blueprints for the tunnels that led to these guys' homes, which were all pretty close to the mansion. They don't exist anymore. They were closed in 1989, the same year Hugh Hefner married playmate Kimberly Conrad. Hefner didn't want to talk about the tunnels, and reps for Nicholson, Caan, Douglas, and Beatty wouldn't comment either.
There's creeping, and there's dig a tunnel to the Playboy Mansion creeping.
The Diddy dungeon theory.
Oh, how there's tunnels underneath his house?
And how
That's
Michael
crazy.
Jackson in the song says, I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Because supposedly there's a tunnel connected from Diddy's house to Michael Jackson's house.
No way.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I
That's
actually
a
did
big
not
one
know
right
that.
now. So I fact-checked this whole thing. There's only proof that in Diddy's pool, there's tunnels leading to a private grotto. And
Is it the Playboy Mansion? Because I know the Playboy Mansion for sure.
No.
Had tunnel.
It's his own house. So according to the website, it has a private theater that can fit 35 people. And the most curious thing about his property is that the underwater tunnel connected to a grotto is inside a mansion.
Oh, damn.
So that kind of backs up the fact that it's Michael Jackson's house because they live close to each other.
Now for those hidden tunnels buried underneath the mansion.
Here we go. Down the tunnel.
Secret tunnel to the pool. How cool is that?
Did you find the second one?
Yeah, for sure.
Another tunnel. Why you go fast at that thing?
Adding fuel to the fire, reporters from the Los Angeles Times noted that Diddy's mansion does feature an underwater swimming tunnel, one that leads to a lavish grotto, complete with custom lighting and intricate stonework.
Diddy's got tunnels underneath his house. 5 tunnels leading to 5 other houses in that area.
What houses?
Someone said Michael Jackson's old house.
Believe it.
Saw that photo, how
Blindly.
close he was to a port.
Because he's getting linked. He's
Yeah.
getting linked to crimes that involved
It's a shipping
containers.
It's a shipping yard. And it's like, if you're buying a house that big, why do you want a shipping yard in the background if you're not doing something in that shipping yard?
Maybe he was just a huge investor in baby oil.
Maybe.
Needed to have his eyes on the
product.
At all times.
Baby.
Psych, he did
Jeez.
really bad things.
Yeah, this is the biggest sexual assault lawsuit ever to exist in American history. Like,
Dude,
this
I
is-
love it.
It's
I don't love it. I love that. I hate
love it. We're breaking records.
Days after Diddy's arrest, a conspiracy theory has emerged online suggesting there is a secret underground tunnel at his mansion that connects to Michael Jackson's home. According to one version of the story, a neighbor sent an anonymous tip to federal officers about unusual activity at Diddy's house. When the agents arrived, Diddy's team reportedly prevented them from entering. Despite this, the agents decided to search Diddy's newly renovated bedroom. When they moved to the bed, they allegedly found a tunnel hidden under a rug and discovered children's clothes inside the passage.
You're not going to believe this, but there is, in fact, a Diddy and Michael Jackson connection.
Lately, there's been a lot of discussion around Diddy and the secret tunnels that are under his home. If you told me there were some secret tunnels in the Hollywood Hills connecting celebrities' homes, I wouldn't be surprised. This article reads, since the arrest of Diddy on charges of trafficking and racketeering, there have been a ton of details coming out about his past. And remember, earlier this year in March, his home was raided. And I'm sure it took them a long time to do this because he's got a massive property. And when it comes to those Hollywood homes, you never know know? What is a bookshelf? What's a secret door? And recent viral posts on TikTok and other platforms have fueled conspiracy theories suggesting that Diddy has a secret underground tunnel linking his home to Michael Jackson's LA property. These rumors surfaced following Diddy's recent legal troubles in which he faces 120 violent allegations. Some videos have even claimed that the discovery of the tunnel prompted authorities to reopen the investigation into Michael Jackson's passing. Popular Twitter account The Pop Things claimed that they found a tunnel in Diddy's home. The interior has a private theater with a capacity for 35 people, a fully equipped gym, and a wine room. The most curious thing about the property is an underwater tunnel connected to a grotto inside the luxurious mansion. A lot of people suggested that this tunnel possibly went to the Playboy Mansion because the Playboy Mansion, surprise surprise, is located very close to Diddy's home. Other social media posts claimed that the FBI found tunnels underneath Diddy's home that once connected to a basement at Michael Jackson's mansion. A TikTok claimed that his team was nervous and blocked the entrance to his house and begged them not to enter the tunnel.
The FBI discovered a tunnel this morning that the rapper had made in his home, which connected to the basement of a former Michael Jackson home. The FBI was called to the scene after an anonymous tip from neighbors reporting something strange happening since Diddy's arrest. When the agents arrived, they were greeted by his team, who seemed very nervous. They tried to block the officer's entrance, but the agents insisted and decided to search him when they entered his room. They noticed that the floor near the bed looked like it had been recently disturbed. One of the officers then moved the bed to the side. That's when they made an unbelievable discovery: an entrance covered only by a rug. Intrigued, the officers decided to go down into the passage. However, the team tried desperately to stop them, begging them not to enter the tunnel, but the officers continued anyway. The walls of the tunnel looked newly built, as if abandoned in a hurry.
So these items were collected during the federal raids, including narcotics and hundreds of bottles of lube and baby oil. There were also electronic files of these freak-offs, and the feds collected those too. In addition to all this, investigators seized AR-15 guns, ammunition, and a large-capacity drum magazine from Diddy's home. Since those raids in March, federal prosecutors have been crafting their case against Diddy, which led to grand jury proceedings against him. So he was indicted on Monday and taken into custody, and on Tuesday, that indictment was unsealed. Also on Tuesday, Diddy appeared in federal court where he pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. During the hearing, Diddy was also denied bail, a federal judge ruling he must remain in custody until trial.
None of the official court documents mention secret tunnels, but if prosecutors manage to tie them into the case, it could completely shift the narrative. They could frame it as part of Diddy's alleged underground empire, perfect for discreetly moving people or hiding evidence out of sight. In legal circles, the idea of hidden access points is a major red flag. Checks the conspiracy box and hints at a level of coordination far beyond just wild parties. Prosecutors have already painted scenes of so-called freak-off sessions filled with narcotics. Add secret tunnels to that image, and suddenly you're not just looking at chaos. You're staring down the structure of a full-blown trafficking network.
I feel like authorities are so stuck in time in the past where, like, they say, oh, don't look into this, don't investigate this, these claims aren't real. But then we see social media sleuths put together these stories and solve investigations. I'm not saying the authorities aren't smart people, they can figure it out, but sometimes the help from the public can lead to, us actually figuring out the truth. But do the authorities want the truth? It really matters who's at the top and who they're trying to protect. Another conspiracy theory that circulated at the time of the raids was that Diddy escaped through an underground tunnel. I do believe he has an escape route planned when it comes to his Miami property because he can easily access the Bahamas through a boat. When it comes to his LA property, he might have a backup plan, which kind of explains these tunnels. Per news reports in March 2024, Diddy's properties in LA and in Miami were raided by Homeland Security. Diddy's LA mansion was located in the upscale neighborhood of Holby Hills, the same neighborhood as the Playboy Mansion. However, there is no known underground tunnel connecting the two. According to this report, people reported that the Playboy Mansion was rumored to have a series of underground tunnels that connected the mansion to other homes in the area. However, one staff member told the site that the tunnels were closed up in some time in 1989. And I don't know why celebrities are so scared to acknowledge these tunnels. I'd be like, oh yeah, there's underground tunnels, cool.
As to witnesses, to date, the government has conducted interviews with over 50 victims and witnesses, many of whom saw or experienced the defendant's abuse. Many of these witnesses corroborate one another, and their accounts are consistent with the other types of evidence discussed below. The government only expects that number to continue to grow, given that the investigation, which is now public, is ongoing. And also, the prosecution revealed in its filing, the government has seized more than 90 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, hard drives, thumb drives, cameras, a surveillance system that they say shows this criminal activity. So based on that, we can assume that the evidence the Southern District of New York has against Combs is likely vast. Quote, the evidence also consists of physical evidence, which was seized pursuant to search warrants executed at the defendant's residences in Los Angeles and Miami, as well as on his person and the persons of certain co-conspirators. In addition to the firearms and electronics discussed above, the physical evidence also includes other evidence of freak-offs, including over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricant. Pretty disgusting.